This
All right.
conference will now be recorded.
I think I can. I think.
All right, the time being 4:45 PM, I'd like to call the meeting of March 25th, 2021 to order. Before we get started, if you are joining us virtually, please mute your microphone during the meeting unless you want to speak. Otherwise, background noise will interfere with the meeting. Because space is limited due to social distancing requirements, we are providing access to the meeting via telephone in the GoToMeeting platform. Members of the public wishing to attend this meeting via phone may call the following conference number at 1-866-899-4679. Access code 817-026-717. Members of the public wishing to use the GoToMeeting platform may access the meeting remotely using your smartphone, tablet, or computer at global.gotomeet.me/town-of-Tilton/Selectmen. This information can also be found on our website at tiltonnh.org, under meeting schedules and agendas, Board of Selectmen. Would you like to all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on our agenda is the review and approve the minutes from our meeting of February 18th. February 18th. Is it March 18th?
I do have March 18th on ours.
Yeah, no typo.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of corrections.
All right.
When we first, after the Pledge of Allegiance, select new chair and vice chair and other board committees appointments, I believe that there were 2 motions for chairs at that time, and it's not reflected in the minutes. Two separate motions were made for different chairs. And I think that needs to be reflected in the minutes. And also on page 3 of 4, under Selectman Constantino, Pat asked about blue signs being posted along 93 and exit 20. It wasn't just blue signs that I had asked for. I had asked if PD location signs were ordered, particularly the near Walgreens and the exits, which we can't put blue signs there. The blue signs are only allocated for highway. So it's not just blue signs. So it kind of is incorrect in the way it's worded here. So if we just say Pat asked about PD location signs, I think that would suffice.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to note, I had brought this to the attention of the board a couple meetings back that I am working with DOT on this. So.
all right.
That was more of a question than
I think we said that in the meeting.
Yeah, that we wanted to know if it was ordered or not. We didn't. I kind of figured you had some ordered, but we didn't know which ones.
Nothing moves fast in the state of New Hampshire.
Nope.
Hurry up and wait. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have one other question, and it's more of a language than anything else. And I just I'm confused about it, so I don't know if anybody else is, or whether we just leave it alone or not. Under page 4, the very first sentence, the second sentence, they, on 12/31, could they open their outdoor seating? There was a brief discussion of allowing it so long as COVID protocols were in place. But it doesn't, to me, it doesn't sound like we said yes. There was a definitive yes to open, and the seats are out there now. So we all said yes.
Did we
We all
make,
agreed to it. Yeah, the consensus was definitely yes,
it
all
was
of
a
us.
consensus. I don't believe we took a vote, but it was
We didn't take
definitely,
a vote,
it was
but it was-
consensus.
Definitely a consensus of yes.
I think the fact that it says so long as COVID protocols were in place, that would indicate it was that you
So you
said
think that that
yes.
satisfies it?
I think so, but if you want
I'm just thinking
something
of
more
a year from
definitive.
now, if whatever, how it's interpreted, that's all.
My only question was, I thought it was just for Polly's, not for 12/31,
They're the same owner.
but it's two separate businesses.
And
It's only for Polly's.
Okay.
They're not putting out chairs out there.
it was presented as a Polly's thing.
Correct. That's correct. Yep. They're not asking it to be in the parking lot of 12/31.
So we can, if that's the case, we can delete 12/31.
Right.
Mr. Scanlon.
Confirm that.
Well, it does say that. There was a brief discussion of allowing it.
There was a discussion.
I'll put language in there that says that the board reached consensus.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes of March 18th as corrected.
Is there a second?
Second, Ruggles.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, moving on. Accept a $2,000 donation from Frank Guerrero and a $500 donation from Rusty Drew for a movie in the park.
The Rusty Drew's is not on the agenda,
It's a slate.
so we need to put that on next week. Okay. If you think that's okay, fine. I was always told it need to be on the agenda, posted. It doesn't matter to me. Mr. Chair, you got the
We've
motion?
had a motion.
Yeah, I would make a motion that we accept a $2,000 donation from Frank Guerrero and a $500 donation from, do we have to do them separately?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No,
And a $500 donation from Rusty Drew for the movie in the park series.
second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? Mr. Jessman.
The $2,000 donation from Frank Guerrero, was there earmarked for anything specific?
Movie in the park.
Oh, I thought Chuck Drew was moving in the park.
They're both moving in the
Oh.
park.
Okay.
This is Rusty Drew
Rusty.
and Frank Guerrero.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? Make a motion to accept it. Is there a second?
Thought he did that.
Oh, we did.
Pretty sure I seconded.
Okay, oh, second. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Guerrero and Mr. Drew, for that generous donation to our town. What time is it? Oh. 4 minutes. Anybody have anything that we can fill with, or we can make an announcement? We can jump ahead because some people may not listen to the entire meeting, but coming up on April 21st and the 23rd to the 24th is the spring cleanup dates. That information will be posted on the town website. That'll be at the Public Works Department. Items that are not allowed are hazardous waste, oil-based paints, household cleaners, chemicals, brush, leaves, or grass. Vehicles using the facility must display a current Town of Tilton sticker. Stickers are available at the town clerk's office during normal business hours, Monday through Friday. There will be no charge to residents for this spring cleanup. Any questions, please call Kevin Duvall, Public Works Director at 286-4721 or Town Hall at 286-4521, extension 100. I kill a minute. Anyone else have anything quickly before we start our public hearing on the housing standard ordinance?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to let you know that the land use coordinator is online when you begin the public hearing.
Okay. Is there anyone else that has joined us? I see a Mr. Barrett. Does he have any questions for us, Mr. Barrett?
Not at this time, thank you.
All right, thank you. So we'll make sure we get everyone. Do we start the public hearing 2 minutes early, or do we have to wait for 5 o'clock? 5 o'clock, all right.
You,
You do have one thing.
All right, Mr. Justman.
I took a ride up to Pest House Road today. And if you haven't been there, you should go and take a look at it because it's going to come up again. But me explaining it, I can't do justice. So just suggesting you should go up there and take a look at it. Condition of the road.
okay.
There's a potential for a driveway permit. Well, the driveway permit's been issued, but that road's almost impassable. When I got to the end, I didn't have four-wheel drive. I'd still be at the cemetery on Pest House Road. But you should just go look at it. I'm not a road expert, but I'm sure it's going to come up again. So that's trying to kill 4 minutes. Did I do it? 2 minutes?
Yeah,
1 minute.
1 minute. Well, we do have a road expert in the house. But we won't get into that topic with 1 minute. All right. No. It'll be quick, concise, put you on the spot. Well, I'm just waiting for 5 o'clock.
Pat, did you want to mention the update that will happen next week?
So we will be having a petition to modify update that will be happening next week. The attorney will be here next week to update us all.
Excellent.
So that will be happening.
That's good news.
In non-public, we have some additional information that we'll be giving you tonight.
For the time being 5 p.m., I'd like to open the public hearing on the housing standard ordinance. Our land use coordinator, Leanne Moynihan, is joining us virtually to present the suggested changes to the ordinance.
And everyone should have a copy of the ordinance in front of you.
Housing standard ordinance. It's on something like this.
So, can you hear me?
Good evening.
I guess we can.
Hi, okay. So the only changes to the housing standard ordinance are on the last page. The change from planner being the chair to the land use coordinator, since we don't have a planner. And in the last sentence, as needed to be added to the meetings at the end of the sentence. So those are the only two changes to the housing standard ordinance.
All right. Does anyone have any discussion or comment?
I'm a part of the Housing Student Ordinance Committee, and I totally agree with what we're trying to do here. It's much needed. It's obviously not a planner anymore. It's a land use coordinator, and we don't meet that often, so it should be as needed.
All right.
If the board approves this, Pat has the original ordinance for every board member to sign off on. The original
I think
for
I
signature.
inadvertently got it.
No, I got it.
Oh, you had, okay.
I just had one question. In the next to last paragraph, it says the Housing Standards Board shall meet at least once annually within 60 days after town meeting. Does that part need to stay within 60 days of town meeting? Okay. I wasn't sure if that was for like the first one or because it hasn't been in that long. Any other comments from the board?
I just think that would be just because you have a ex officio from the board if that changes, and if there's any changes within the fire department, because it's a member of the people that are on it, the land use coordinator, a selectman, a tenant, a landlord, the code enforcement officer.
The health officer.
So if those changes, if they change, then I think there would be imperative to have that one meeting, and then you get resettled in.
Okay.
Yeah, health officer, at least the other one.
That's Kim Cool.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment on this? Oh, all right. I guess we can.
Make a motion, we approve the changes in the housing standard ordinance amended in March 25th, 2021.
Second, Ruggles.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? No. Motion carries. All right.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you, Leanne. All right. We can fast forward.
Close the public hearing.
Oh, we'll close the public hearing for the housing standard change. And at this time, I'll invite Mr. Kevin Duval to have center stage. Please make sure you're talking to the microphone so that the public can hear you. And for the person taking minutes, they can hear you as well. They much appreciate that.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. The floor is yours.
Floor is mine. It's been a minute since I've been here. First off, I think we're ahead of schedule on a lot of things this year because of the warm weather. and we've gotten a lot of our spring get ready stuff already done, like the trash cans and the benches are all refurbished, ready to go out on Main Street. We're looking to put up the flags next week. Actually, within the next 2 weeks, we're going to have the trash cans, the benches, and the flags up. All of the cemeteries are spruced up for Memorial Day. So when we get closer, we'll just have to tidy them up just a little bit. So everything's going really well. I still have 2 trucks ready to go for bad weather in case we get it, because it is possible. I'm hoping not. I'd like to mention also that my salt budget is way low so far. So that was a nice savings for this year, especially going into this, COVID aftermath situation. So that was nice to see on my budget. Everybody seems to be in good spirits with the crew. They're getting along. They're getting the work done. They're enjoying the nice weather. They're having their lunches outside, which is nice to see. Everybody's getting their vitamin D, which is good. Helps with morale. All the equipment is in good shape. We didn't have any major breakdowns this year. Actually, let me take a step back. We did put a little bit of repairs into the Peterbilt, which were necessary. I mean, it wasn't from neglect or abuse or anything. It was just the age of the truck is starting to catch up to me and up to the crew, and some repairs had to be done. So there was a little bit of money that was spent on the Peterbilt this year so far. But I think for the rest of the year, I think we're in good shape. All the other pieces of equipment are in good working order. I have found a third manufacturer of a sidewalk machine that I'm going to have demoed next week. I know that this year we're going to try to get a new sidewalk machine, and I wanted to get all of my options on the table and not just be fixated on one. I'm trying to get 3 comparable machines, not apples and cherries, but apples, and apples, so that I can make an educated decision on which one to go with. Go ahead.
They're all articulated, are they?
They are all articulated. They're all at least 90 horsepower or greater. And they are all made either in Canada or the US, which means that the tech support and the parts support will be there, which is what I was lacking in the previous machine. And they've all been around for at least 50 to 60 years. They're tried and true. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm making an educated decision on that and presenting it to the board. Go ahead.
My question is, I'm a little skittish
Mhm.
on sidewalk machines because we paid quite a bit of money for the one that we use currently, and I don't think it does a very good job. The machines that you're looking at will do the job, and they're durable and everything else, right? They'll do the job.
Yes, I understand your frustration with our current machine. And I'm going to make the best presentation I can with the machines that I feel confident about going forward. I will be completely honest with you. I was upset when we got rid of the trackless that we did have, because that was an old school mechanical engine that could be repaired every day. It was a mechanic's dream, because everything in that machine could have been repaired easily. Now we've gone into, and I could have kept it running for another 10 years. Now we're getting into electronics. We're getting into stuff that if it breaks down, you're talking thousands of dollars and downtime. Now, the other side of this situation is when we get a new machine, I'm making sure that we have machine support from whoever we buy this machine from. Meaning if that machine breaks down, they're going to have another one in my dooryard to use if I need it, which we didn't have before. So I'm trying to learn from past situations and making sure that we are covered going forward.
How many horsepower was the previous one? The one that we currently use, I'm
The
sorry.
current 35 horsepower.
That's only 35. So
Yes.
you're like tripling.
Yes.
Almost.
And it's all hydraulically driven. The ones we're looking at are PTO driven, which is inherently stronger and more effective operating the attachments on the front, snow blowers, brooms, things of that nature, flail mowers.
And then I just had one other question was, do any other area towns use any of the ones that you're looking at?
Yes. Manchester, Kittery, and I've actually, part of my process is getting these contacts from the salesman so that I can do my research with people that already have these machines. So when I present, it's going to have all of that information, the do's and the don'ts, the pros and cons from the people that are actually using the machines, not just the salesman.
Right.
There is one manufacturer that I am not looking into, and that's Holder. Holder has been around for a long time, but they've had some mishaps in the current years where people have actually died in accidents. So I'm not even looking at that. Situations where the machine rolls over, the person gets trapped, whether it's in a brook or and they just, a bad accident. I don't like that. So I'm not even looking at that manufacturer. I found 3 others. So escape hatches, breakable glass, things of that nature.
Pat?
Answered part of my question with Eric's question was, are they actually going to come here and test drive them with you? Or are
Yes.
you going to go there and test drive them? I know you're going to go out and ask people that actually use them what the pros and what the cons are, which is a great thing. But are you actually going to have them come here and test drive them or go there and test drive them?
Yes, that's part of the process. I am very much hands-on,
Mhm.
and the trackless and the multi-hog came to the shop for a demo, and I had the guys operate the machine to the fullest that we could, and myself included. I picked out the mechanical side of things and how they operate, tech support, that kind of stuff. The last machine that we're looking at is RPM Industries, and they're out of Canada, and the dealership is out of Londonderry. It's Donovan Equipment, which we deal with already. We're actually going to go down to their facility because they have a huge snow pile stock from the winter. So we're going to test drive it there so we can have a more accurate feel for the machine in a situation where we're going to be using it. And the price range has been from 105 to 185,000. So they're pricey machines, but I'm confident. I'm still collecting that information. I'm just giving you an idea of what these machines are going for, fully equipped, multiple attachments in the front, things of that nature, stuff that we can just pick and choose for now, and then maybe add on later on, because they all have that capability.
Well, one of the selling points of the multi one was it had multiple attachments, which we purchased multiple attachments. Will we turn around and sell the multi one once we get whatever we get? Will it have like a trackless sweeper thing type of thing?
The machines that we're looking at all have those attachments that we currently use with the multi one. I have inquired about trading in the multi one. Nobody wants it.
Sure.
So I can't even trade it in to try to keep our costs down.
John?
I think there was a public works director over in,
Yes.
that might be interested in it. That's also a selectman in Alton that might also be interested in taking it.
Possibly, yes.
That would be nice.
Yes, at that time, I think I would like to discuss with the board keeping the machine because it is useful around the yard as a fork truck, handling stuff around the yard, moving plows from point A to point B without having to run the huge loader, things of that nature. And in a pinch, it can be used. Like if I want to do the sidewalk from the shop towards Hannaford's and the sidewalk in front of the school at the same time, I could send the multi one towards Hannaford's just to try to tackle more at once. Not that it's the multi, I'm expecting the multi one to do it all, but it can have its uses. Like if I want to do downtown in the school sidewalks while I go out to Silver Lake, I could send the multi one down to Silver Lake and utilize it there while I'm utilizing the ones in town. So I can actually keep a couple of guys busy, get it done quicker. And it's not just relying on one machine to do it all, even though it can, and it will do it very effectively. If I keep that multi one, why not just keep it, use it as much as I can until it does fail. And then we can make the determination to either send it down the road, scrap it, or do something with it at that point. And we could also decide to just collect all the attachments and try to sell it outright, whether it go to auction or whatever we decide to do with it. So there are some options there.
Mr. Jessman.
You say that the multi-one functions like a, God, I can't believe the name just went,
Fork truck?
no, one of those,
A loader.
yeah, one of those little loaders.
Big Bobcat.
Bobcat. I mean, come on, right? It just went right out of my head.
Sure,
It functions like a bobcat,
like a Bobcat, yes.
has a bucket.
Has the bucket, the forks, things like that. And it, you know, it is useful, but it's just not useful for the application we were trying to put it for.
We'll never get our money back.
I honestly
Got
don't,
into that thing.
yeah, probably not. No.
I also have questions on the update on the multi one.
Or the sidewalk machine.
Sidewalk.
Sorry,
machine.
I got a little sidetracked there.
No,
but
that's good. That's good.
Um,
Very informative.
there are some things I would like to discuss tonight, just to try to be proactive. We have some paving projects coming up this year and the following years. And I would like to ask the board if you would entertain actually developing a contract with a paving company for like a span of 3 years. I would work with Tim and get some ideas from people that we've worked with in the past as far as paving companies. I know that R&D has won a couple of bids in the previous years. I like working with R&D, but that doesn't mean we have to stay with R&D. I'm just asking if I don't even know if it's been done before, but if maybe we could entertain that so that if I have a project that comes up, I could just reach out to them, get an estimate, present it to the board, and whether or not we go forward is up to us, but just have them contracted to work for us when we have a project.
You're asking us to use them as a sole source.
Yes. Obviously, there's a lot that goes with that. And I just wanted to at least start the conversation.
Yeah, I think we did discuss this about a year ago, or maybe two. And like what you're saying is true, because when we put out these bids, a lot of companies don't want to bother trying. And or they already get booked in. But if they're kind of like on, I guess, you know, like you have an attorney or something that's on there, it's always available and doing exclusive seems to be a way to lock them in so we don't get like passed by or have companies that don't bid and the delays.
Pat?
we had done this years and years ago, and then there was a conflict because we have a policy that says, you know, we should be getting 3 bids, and there was a conflict. We had the same situation as we do now. We would go out and bid, and only certain people would bid.
Mhm.
And it was a catch as catch can. It would be the same people bidding and bidding. So why not just try to get a contract with the sole source? Well, back, you know, 10 or so years ago, and I think Tim could probably speak to this, we tried to do that, and it would be the same people over and over again. But then when we did do that, then our townspeople spoke up and said, well, you know, why are you picking the same people over and over and over again? And it wasn't just with paving, it was with other things as well. So we ran into a conflict on that side, on that end of it. But personally, I think it's a great idea because working like you with the paving company, that you have them right there working with you all the time if you have that kind of a contract with them. And they're already looking 2 years in advance to do their jobs.
Mhm.
You have something that comes up, like something unpredictable, like Pest House Road. Not predicted.
Mhm.
What happens then? Now you got to go through all the bids, and you get somebody last minute, and the price goes way, way, way up.
I could actually bring it another step forward, and you know, I have the 10-year road plan, and I could share that with them so they know what kind of work they're expecting to see. And I think that that would be helpful on both parties, on both sides, to know what the projected work is.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's, I don't know how any,
I think it's to a benefit to us, but you know, on the other hand, I think we need to work around our own policy.
Mhm.
And I think that's really what we need to think about as a board.
I personally would want to see the 10-year plan
Mhm.
and at least have an idea of what you're looking at. It does help for planning, but I don't know how much we're going to flack, for lack of a better word, that we're going to get.
I believe I
Or what we
updated.
can do, can you sign a 3-year contract? I don't know.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I have a feeling that our town administrator might say. Go ahead, Jeannie. Oh, Joe?
I was just going to suggest, couldn't you resolve that by having Kevin solicit 3 bids for a 3-year contract? Then you've addressed the policy, and you've addressed what he's thinking might be the best solution for the town.
Joe?
I'm skeptical about going with a single provider. Only because we have this policy so that we're transparent. We're doing the very best we can with people's money. The fact is sometimes we don't get bids, or we don't get as many as we would like to get.
Mhm.
That's not our fault. I feel more comfortable with the bidding process, unless there's some kind of a benefit to this that I'm really not seeing, something that would override that consideration.
Like financially.
Yeah, if there was something to be gained financially, price won't go above this, or we can get it done 60 days from, because like she says, so they got work 2 years out.
Mhm.
And that's why some of these people don't bid. They just don't have crews to send to us.
Mhm.
So if I could see that information and there was a real benefit to the taxpayer, I would certainly listen.
Okay.
Yeah, just trying to wrap my head around it a little bit. My one worry would be that sort of financial competitive advantage. That would just sort of be the one place where I'd balk a little bit. The place where I see a positive is you're picking a contractor and you know the consistency, you know the product, quote unquote, so to speak, that they put out there. So that becomes to me something that you know and know what the expectations are, you know, whether it's R&D, Continental, et cetera. So, you know, I would just worry about what I think Joe is addressing is the ultimate cost to the constituents. You know, so how could we keep that competitive if we were to do a 3-year contract with someone? So that's just, I think, a consideration overall.
Okay. I should share that the reason that I went presenting this option is for the last couple of years when I have sent out bids or RFPs, R&D has been the one that has been awarded the contracts. And it wasn't by small margins either. It was by large margins. In fact, the Cedar Street project, I think there was like $80,000 difference from one to the next. And in all of my interactions with these paving companies, I got to tell you that in fear of sounding like they're a favorite, but they've been the best to work with, you know, as far as sharing and being full of information and willing to work with me and measuring roads and just being very hands-on, very almost like taking care of their backyard, because they are a local company. And they, as far as I could tell, they care about their product. They care about their relationships with the people that they work with. And for me, that holds a lot of weight. Also, obviously, the financial side of it as well. But if I can get a nice company that has good working relations with the town and comes in at a reasonable rate as well, then it's a win-win. We can get a lot of work done in the next few years.
So I think that it would behoove you to work on this with Tim and Jeannie and come back and present it to us as a value to the town as to why we would want to go with a 2-year, a 3-year, 4-year contract.
Okay.
And then initially, and then send out, you know, to all the contracts, because they're going to bid on it anyway, and then choose it. But
yes,
work it with Jeannie and Tim and come up with a proposal as to why it would benefit, and, you know, kind of feel it out. Is it a financial benefit to us? Is it access benefit to us? Are they, you know, going to be right there for us if they need it in a repair or whatever? All those kinds of things, and then bring it back to us and boom, 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 right here. This is why we would really want to go with a contract as opposed to bidding out every single year instead of bidding out every 3 years.
Okay.
For me, that would make sense for me.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Well, the other bonus from it could allow, depending on what roads you're looking at, it could allow the sewer department to plan and the water department to plan for you know upgrades to the system, and given, you know, instead of reacting year to year where they may want to do, you know, 800 feet of this road, and oh wait, you know, they're going to tear up this road, and you know they kind of get the paving out of that. Sure. And that saves them a lot of money. So it actually allows the utilities in town to
benefit from the
benefit from from your planning. So I think it's
okay.
I would say go forth.
Then I'll work on that information, and the next time I'm here, I will present.
Right.
And keep pushing forward. I did want to make the board aware of, there has been some issues with drainage on Grant Street. I am on top of, just in case you get a phone call. And I also wanted to mention that April 2nd, I have a person from Concentra coming to the shop, and we're going to do a essential job functions meeting. And what this person is going to do is he's going to help create what's called an HPE, human performance exam, that is going to be administered at the same time that the DOT physicals are administered. What this is going to do is it's going to make sure that the people that are hired for a laborer's position can actually perform the duties
Right.
required of a laborer, of a driver,
Mhm.
machine operator, things of that nature. This, I don't think we've ever done that in Tilton. And in my past, other jobs that I've had, the DOT physicals have been more in depth.
Mhm.
And I like that because it's making sure that these people that are being hired for these positions can physically do the job, which helps my job as manager to send these, designate work and projects to people, knowing that they can do the job. And so on the 2nd of April, we have somebody coming out to the shop, and I'm going to meet with them and go through all the job functions that are outlined in the job description for these positions. Any questions about that? Go ahead.
Joe?
How much does that cost? And where does that money come from?
That it's going to be $400 for the initial visit, and that's going to include his trip up to the shop, meeting with me, whether it be a couple hours, writing up the plan, because he's going to have to do some research on his end as far as the logistics between, what do they carry 50 pounds? Do they carry 75 pounds up a stairway? Things of that nature, pushing a lawnmower, operating a rake, getting down in the ditch. So it's $400 for the initial visit. And then what he'll do is once he gathers all the information, he'll figure out how much the extra money is per DOT physical. I think it's right around $100 for the DOT physical.
Right.
It might be 120, it might be $130.
25, yeah.
And then it'll be a slight cost increase to have that added to the DOT physical. I'll plan on taking that out of my miscellaneous line.
So he administers the test, or will the test be incorporated when they go to the DOT physical?
Yes, when the crew members go to get their DOT physical done, they will have a specific set of rules that they have to follow. Whoever's administering the test. Stand on your toes and walk 50 feet, walk on your heels, bend over, touch your toes, things of that nature. It's all going to be in this, basically in this file for the town of Tilton.
Okay.
And as long as we send our crew members to, myself included,
The certain, right.
to Concentra, that's where it'll be administered.
So they will always go to Concentra for the
Yes.
medical card.
Yes.
Got it. Got it. I like that idea.
Joe?
All of the current employees at Public Works would be taking this test.
That's correct, myself included.
What happens if they fail?
We haven't got that far yet. I would assume that there'd be some adjustments made or some decisions made without getting into too much detail.
Doesn't the Americans with Disabilities Act say something about making you might know
Reasonable
this,
accommodations.
appropriate accommodations.
Right.
Guy can't carry a 50-pound bag of fertilizer up the steps.
If it relates to a disability is one thing. If it relates to not being able to, for physical ability, not being able to do
Well,
your job is another thing. We have to have, in my situation, we have a medical card, a requirement for a medical card. Then we have a test that we have to do. We have to sit in our seat, run in the back of the bus, and jump out the back of the bus within a certain amount of seconds, and then come back and go up and down the stairs. There's a lot of physical things that we have to do. If you cannot do that and you fail to work at the place. It's part of what you are required to do in order to work in that environment. And so
As a new hire, right?
as No, as continuing, every 2 years, I have to accept that. So in August, I have to go through this again. So in addition to my medical card, I have to do this training, whatever you call it, again, these testings. So in August, I'll have to run out the back of the bus and jump, which is, I hate. But if I don't do that, then I'm required, I have one shot at it. If something, there's a very, very, very small threshold of wiggle room. And then if you fail, you fail. You don't have time to do it over again. That's it. And so your employment is on the line. However, if you have a disability and you are with the American Disabilities Act, they make accommodations for certain people with disabilities, and that is a whole realm of different things that is outside of regular employment that we can't get into and discuss right now in public. That's very separate from that kind of thing. But the employee has to notify the employer that these are disabilities and so on and so forth. So I'm hoping I'm
So-
saying that correctly. But
So
you are required to do, there are certain requirements that they have to say too.
my goal with this, okay, is everybody's position at the DPW is labor, driver labor, machine operator labor, director labor. We all are expected to do a certain amount of labor intensive work. Now, as far as I'm aware, there is nobody at the DPW garage that has a disability. So there is no restrictions on me having this test.
Yeah, we have to watch our,
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we'll talk about this part.
Okay.
And it, because now
I
we're
think
talking
it's-
about personnel and we
sure.
really shouldn't get into
But
that.
this test is something that I've got in motion to try to. Okay.
So it's something that when you've developed this, once you talk about this a little bit further, come back until we'll talk about it in non-public.
Okay.
April 2nd should tell us a lot.
Yes, very much so. How am I doing on time? Am I taking too much?
we got
I have
22
one question before he leaves.
I gotta learn to talk
minutes till
faster.
6. So and you're on the docket until 6. So
Okay.
we started you early for a reason.
Um, transfer station stuff. We really need to update our fee schedule, our fees for what we collect at the transfer station. Which reminds, I put together some information for everybody to read. It's just the start of information. I didn't want to overwhelm you all at once. But I have a folder for you.
I was gonna say
A
folder.
folder, there's a folder involved.
Highway Department folder.
Nice blue. I put a booby trap here, so watch out.
What I did was I collected some information from our surrounding towns.
Yeah.
On surrounding towns collect at their transfer stations. And the town of Tilton is in need of some new figures. So I would like to have the selectmen review this information, and then maybe the next time I'm here for a meeting, we could talk about this a little bit more.
Mr. Chair.
It's Mr. Jessman.
Interested, we are thinking about raising our prices because other towns are charging more? Or because it's costing us more to get rid of the,
It's costing us more.
that's,
The last, 2004, I believe, is the last time these numbers were adjusted. Prices have gone up significantly.
I heard something really interesting the other day when I was sitting around having a cup of coffee and somebody said, well, I got to get rid of a refrigerator. And they said, well, I'll take it. I'll bring it to the transfer station because it costs less.
Oh, I know that happens.
So we are less than,
I didn't,
than the other towns.
the dump sticker was something that I know I had mentioned in the past, but I know that I don't,
Want to put our license number on it.
well,
Can I give a story?
yes, please.
So in the last couple of weeks, my son has gone to the transfer station on Wednesdays, and I went once on Saturday. Now, I was with him. I don't know if the attendant knew me and knew that I was a resident, but the other two times my son or my daughter's boyfriend went to the transfer station and no one checked. I have no resident sticker on my car. And I know last year when we did the 4 weeks, it felt like we did it, and you know our costs are going up, and if we're known as having a lower price, I really feel like we need to do something to combat that. And I think the only way that you can do it is to put the license plate number or the license plate on that, and every year everyone has to register their car. So when they register their car, they get a sticker, and it has their, you write in Sharpie on the sticker, you write their plate number, and it goes wherever the lower left window of the car. This way, when they pull in, the attendant can see the license plate number, match it to the front of the car, and they know that it's good to go. And if it's supposed to be, a pink sticker for, 2021, then it's a pink sticker, and they know that. But I think we really need to tighten it because we're costing ourselves and our taxpayers money by other people sneaking in to use our transfer station because we're cheaper.
But if we up our prices, we won't be cheaper.
Well, I still think we need to enforce it. I saw Tim's hand in the back.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's not just the fact that we're cheaper, it's the volume that people are allowed to bring in. There's no limit during the year, and our construction and demolition costs are just really through the roof. And that's one of the big areas. So I'd like to see, as we look at this, I'd like to see that generally speaking, your revenues or charges for service should in some way offset a portion of that use so that the people that are using it more are the ones that are helping to pay for it more. So in terms of, the amount that someone can bring, even if you have a valid license or sticker, you could be bringing trailer loads each and every time. So, the revenue is important, but it's also, is there some type of limitation? And I would prefer we were doing something that Director Duval has recommended in the past, which is like the Northfield model, and you get a certain number of stickers during the year where you can go and it's a combination of the amnesty as well as being able to take excess things to the transfer station.
Eric,
Yes, Pat.
at one time, didn't we limit the amount of construction demo? When Dennis was here, we limited the amount. We only could have one trailer. I remember years ago when there was a certain shed that needed to be demolished up on School Street, I could only bring one trailer on demo because that was the limit. Did we go away from that? Is that now unlimited? I just making that, because I don't know.
I haven't seen any literature on restrictions at the DPW garage.
Because if you were, because that kind of brings up the question, if residential people knock down a shed and they bring the entire shed, then what stops your construction people from bringing all their debris if they're knocking something down in their, within the boundaries of Tilton? And that's astronomical right now.
Mhm.
I always thought that there was a limit, one trailer.
Oh, there definitely should be. And we shouldn't be accepting any commercial entities there as well.
Right.
There, but it all has to start somewhere. And I wanted to at least get this information to you so that you're not curious or you're not wondering, well, what does Northfield charge? What does Franklin charge? I actually fielded a phone call last week from Franklin asking what our charges were, because he was thinking that he was getting material from Tilton because our prices were too expensive, and that's not the case. So that there has been some questions about this whole situation, and I figured we have to start somewhere. And I really like the idea that Chairman has about the dump stickers. They could be issued with either a tax bill, because I know that people out of state have second homes here in Tilton. So it could be a tax bill, or it could be a registration, or a rental agreement for anybody that rents property here in town. And it would be something that the town tax collector or the deputy could issue when they do dog licenses or registrations or things of that nature, or just to come in and get a dump sticker. I do believe that will help alleviate some of the outside material coming into town. And then we could further streamline the structure with maybe more dump hours, because I've heard that in the last few weeks, how we're so restrictive on dump hours. There needs to be an attendant that's going to be paying attention. And so there are some things that need to adjust throughout the whole spectrum of the transfer station. It needs to start somewhere, and I wanted you to know and be aware that I am working on the situation and trying to present and get it going.
Thank you. I think it's something that we should come up with a solution with quickly, because amnesty days are coming.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So, any other discussion about transfer station? Oh, Jeannie.
Kevin, I don't know if you were going to mention it or not, so I thought I would remind you that not tonight, but that you are working on your transfer station realignment, I guess.
The solid waste
Yes.
plan for either a trash truck or full-blown transfer station. I'm trying to locate some outside agencies to come in and do an assessment for us. Trying to get an agency that actually knows trash. All of us have an idea about it, but it goes so much further than our reaches as far as the outlets and how to handle it. And just there's so much involved. I think with the help from Jeannie, that we can get an agency in here that'll really do a good assessment for the town of Tilton, number of residents, the tonnage of trash, tonnage of recycling, and really present a nice plan for us to make some nice decisions or some informative decisions on the situation. I'm hoping that if we start now, that come time to when we need to make a decision, we'll be ready for it. whether it is to go with the trash truck and handle it in-house or to keep it, an outside agency taking care of it for us. I don't want to replay of last year where we were kind of late, lack of a better word.
John?
Yeah, this year's spring cleanup stays. So are you accepting any brush or branches or leaves?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because when the chairman had mentioned amnesty and brush and leaves not being accepted, we do accept brush and leaves year round. I know that's one of the things that we need to change on the website, and I'm hoping that with this collection of information, I can get that done. But we do accept brush, leaves year round, as during dump hours. Some people have inquired about coming on a Friday or a Monday, and no, it's specifically during the dump hours, so that we can regulate who's dumping leaves, and so we can pay attention as to what they're dumping and what's accepted, what's not accepted.
Is there a fee for that?
There's no fee for that.
Good. Anyone else?
I have another thing other than trash for him before he leaves.
Anything else on trash talk? All right. Anything else for you? Anything else for you? From you?
Riverfront Park. Since I have a full crew this year, I am planning on having at least one guy there 2 days a week. Hopefully 2 guys there 2 days a week. Start addressing and start maintaining the Riverfront Park to a better standard this year. Last year, I had some crew issues where I was lacking in personnel. This year, it's looking good, and I think the plan to have somebody there 2 days a week is going to play out, and I think that we're going to have that park in really good shape. All the issues will be addressed this year. So
Excellent.
I wanted to, last meeting I was here, we discussed the parking lot at the PD. I wanted to ask if the department was supposed to be doing the parking lot at the new PD, or if that was in the hold stage.
Do we have a,
We haven't discussed that yet, have we?
No.
Not yet.
Okay, sorry.
We haven't, it hasn't got to them yet.
It's on my
We're
list.
still in the building committee
Oh,
stage.
okay.
We did set aside money in the plan.
Right.
Sorry, I just got a little aggressive there.
Mhm. A little anxious, yeah.
Kevin, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right. Does anyone from the board have anything? Pat?
Senior center.
Okay.
We're in dire need of having the front porch redone and painted, along with our entrance door painted green. Is that something
Yep.
that before the year is out you can do,
Yes.
or should we do it? Okay.
Yes. A couple of my crew members are really good at that stuff, and that's on my to-do list for them this year.
Okay.
We've already
Yeah.
been replacing some of the boards and structure stuff that needed to be replaced, and yes.
I went there yesterday, the day before, to do some things with the stove, and which brings me up to another thing. The stove, when we first opened up, Arthur had taken the top, what do you call them? Plates. The plates,
Yeah.
not the burners, the plates on top of the stove, and sandblasted them and repainted them. Because it's a very, very, very old stove,
Mhm.
and now it's coming off a lot of, it looks very old and chipped, and
Okay.
I'm just wondering if that's something in the future that we could plan to do that. If not,
Sure, I can actually come down and
There's
maybe meet with you and,
5 plates to take off and take them down and bring
Sure.
them back.
I work well with lists, so I could come down and make a list of the projects there, and it helps me to plan my week with the guys and get things done, so.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
Mr. Scanlon.
Yeah, last fall, I think we had discussed, and there were some pictures about the shrub removal around Timetable Maple.
Okay,
So I didn't know if you'd be able to get to that this spring.
I think so. Jeannie and I were just talking this morning about the water fountain there and seeing if that could be resurrected and working again. So I was going to make some time this week to go down there and check it out. The shrubbery can definitely be removed and dealt
There were
with. Sure.
volunteers, and he had a plan with pictures of, design that could be suggested for shrubs that we all looked at.
Okay.
They did have that plan, and it was great. I was actually thinking when Kevin and I talked of something a little more expansive than that plan, leveling out the area to some extent so people could actually sit there, picnic table. So we are working on it. The first step is Kevin to see if he can get that water fountain fixed, and the shrubs will come out at some point, but it's one of the projects we have to work on this year.
Big year.
Anyone else from the board? Does anyone from the public have anything for the Public Works Director? All right. We're good. We're at 5:57. And I guess we can get ready for our police department ceremony to swear in Officer Andrew Salmon. So, look at that.
Oh my goodness, movable cameras.
Look at that, John. Now can you, look at that. That is so cool. You guys are on the hot seat now.
I still feel like I'm in the 21st century.
Yeah. It's okay.
I like town hall. The history, just the feel of it, the smell as you walk up the stairs. But this is very nice.
Yeah, this will have a different smell later on. All right, I guess we're gonna get Mr. Officer Salmon in. When I did it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mr. Murray, how are you? That's what I did.
Are you going to be a police officer like Daddy? Yep. You are?
So you're not allowed to give me. I was going to say health road. Digging the hair? Digging the neck? Yep. Thank you. How are you? Big shot. You too. Where did you get? I know.
All right, if we could have Officer Salmon come over to Mr. Selectman Ruggles. We have to get you on. Jeannie, can he use the microphone to read into? That was my knee.
So we're here for the induction of Officer Andrew B. Salmon. To the inhabitants of the town of Tilton in the county of Belknap in the state of New Hampshire, whereas there is a vacancy in the position of full-time police officer in the town of Tilton, and whereas we, the subscribers, have confidence in your ability and integrity to perform the duties of said office, do hereby appoint you, Andrew B. Salmon, to the position of full-time police officer for the town of Tilton, New Hampshire, which shall be effective as of March 25th, 2021. And whereas upon your taking oath of office and having this appointment and the certificate of said oath of office recorded by the the Tilton town clerk, you shall have the powers, perform the duties, and be the subject of the liability of such office until another person shall be chosen and qualified in your stead. Given under our hands this 28th day of January in the year of our Lord, 2021. The oath of office. I, Andrew B. Salmon, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all of the duties incumbent on me as a full-time police officer for the town of Tilton, New Hampshire, according to the best of my abilities, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the United States Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help me God. Thank you.
Things are good. Weather's getting better.
Congratulations.
Just go to.
It goes to Jeannie.
They did last week. I'm on vacation, so I'm putting this stuff on.
Ladies, congratulations, gentlemen. Congratulations and welcome back.
Thank you so much. We're excited.
Nice. Well, we're excited.
Excited to have Daddy back.
Oh, move the table. Want the booking photo in the background? We're doing the very professional front photo. Breathe in. All right, everybody say cheese. Let me know when nobody knows.
Perfect. Outstanding.
Now, if I ever need it in the future, I've got.
Will you be able to tell who's who, though?
Uh-huh.
Just start with the bald guy in the suit. That's Rich.
That picture.
Back at it. All right. They want to get.
Close to the corner as possible.
Yeah, I'm trying to stick with that. Officer Paulus, if you could please come this way. To all that read the citation, please know that the Tilton Police Department of Tilton, New Hampshire proudly awards the life-saving citation to Officer Richard Paulus. Officer Paulus is a 37-year veteran of the Tilton Police Department. He retired in 2014 at the rank of lieutenant and continues to work part-time for this department. On February 24th, 2021, while on duty, Officer Paulus arrived to assist two Belknap County deputies with a disabled motorist. While pushing a vehicle out of the flow of traffic by the exit 20 ramp from Interstate 93, a screaming woman could be heard from across the roadway. Officer Paulus ran towards the woman's vehicle, suspecting that some type of emergency was taking place. As he arrived, the woman frantically told him that her 8-month-old baby had been choking and wasn't able to breathe. The mother handed the baby to Officer Paulus on the roadside. Using her first responder life-saving skills, he determined the child's airway was blocked. He flipped the baby over and quickly began a child-style Heimlich maneuver. After multiple thrusts were delivered, the item became dislodged and the baby began to cry. Tilton Northfield Ambulance responded and treated the baby, who was later transported to a hospital for precautionary evaluation. There is no doubt the quick response by Officer Paulus saved the life of this precious 8-month-old baby. Every member of the Tilton Police Department and the community hereby thank Officer Paulus for being in the right place at the right time when it mattered the most to this family. For your immediate and decisive action, you are hereby awarded this life-saving medal.
You had a lot longer.
No, it was one big.
That's what I meant. So, yeah,
You're not gonna get a single out of him anyway. Very shy.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for doing that. Thank you very much. Well done. Means a lot. It's a great story. Yeah.
I think that that's a fine idea, but scavenge all the parts. We can get rid of it.
It's never been hardly used.
Kind of like that, and we'll scavenge out.
Right.
I think the breach that. Oh, yeah, I swear. Solid. It comes off and the residue from the sandwich. But it'll function. It's right.
Yeah, well, it's 20,
It's
it's 75 degrees off on that stove.
Yeah.
Exactly.
God, there's gotta be a way. I calibrated. I'll talk. I got the number of a guy. I told him, yeah, if it works at all. Yeah. Not on this one. I looked today when I was in there. Like, let me take a look at it. There's no way to just can't pull it off and go like this and stick it on. There's no way to do it. I don't know. The thermocouple is down below, but the temperature could 56, 57.
Oh,
I think it's the original one.
Because they wear out.
The thermocouple is opened up to get gas in there because it'll get 75 degrees. It's a calibration. It's a pilot thermocouple, yeah. Very nice.
You guys like the BD? Thank you very much. Oh, no.
I'm just going to give a 5-minute warning because we do have to resume our selectmen's meeting. Thank you. Can all the selectmen please come to the front of the room by the flag?
Everybody smile. That's good. Come on in a little closer. You look like you like each other a little bit. There you go. We done?
This gave us
Thank
a
you.
really
Thank you very
weird
much.
look.
Thank you. All right.
Yes, you did.
Thank you very much.
Richard.
Is there a plan in place for this parking lot area out
Yep.
here?
Yep. Let's get. In this money put aside.
I mean, yeah, and
Yeah.
who's gonna do it and when?
Well, we got a price from Amber's, from Milestone. It was like 56,000, but the Public Works can do it for like 10 or 15.
It's for the price
That's
of
why
the
he
ledge
brought it up.
pack, right? Yeah.
That's why he brought it up.
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
I think we-
we're at the, yeah, we got 2 minutes.
He's gonna just take a
Yeah, that's
picture of
fine.
the front of the flag.
He's the life of the party.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
here for him.
But, well, for the next 2 minutes. Hey, pleading.
So we're gonna be bashful.
Oh, that's a good
great,
picture.
that's a great picture. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Officer Paula, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
That
you
was
very much.
special. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for dressing up. No, she put her dress on. She's got her sparkly shoes. Selectman Jessman was jealous of.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna look. He's looking
Like
online.
the tights with the hearts on.
Yeah. All right.
The visual.
Okay.
Give him. We have a minute to think about that. No, we're 6:30. All right, we're moving on to selectmen comments and committee reports. Oh, look, I'm first. We need to decide whether or not, you okay, Pat?
It was a visual.
All right, we need to decide whether or not or when we're going to reopen town hall. So we're coming up to the end of the month.
So the selectmen had voted to keep town hall closed through March 31st. So you need to make a decision tonight. I have talked to some of the folks at town hall. Given the fact that some have gotten their shots, not everyone has gotten their shots, but there seems to be a comfort level among staff that as long as we're adhering to this, wearing the masks and sanitizing, that if you felt like you wanted to open town hall up, they would be okay with that. I have not spoken with the town clerk tax collector because she's away right now, so I don't know how she feels about this. But that's where we're at. I will tell you that I'm on the listserv for the other municipalities, and it appears most of the town halls across the state are starting to open up. So I don't know if you want to make a decision tonight to extend, to wait another week or so to hear what the town clerk tax collector has to say, or if you just want to open up town hall.
John,
I'd like to make a motion that we open up town hall effective April 1st. What's the Monday?
5th.
The 5th? Yeah. Official on April 5th following the social distancing guidelines.
Okay. Is there do I look for a second? Or is there discussion? I'll second it for discussion purposes.
Just, Jeannie, a question is what you and the staff are thinking, is it going back to the appointment system, or is this just wide open, just regular operations?
It's wide open. At this point, where we're at is appointment only.
Okay.
I had one question. The people that have not received the shot, is that by choice or not available to them yet?
Unavailable.
I think that's not a question I
That's
could ask them,
Okay.
but I think there's some just haven't had the opportunity to get the shot yet.
Okay.
right.
And there may be others who choose not to get the shot, but
Okay. Fair enough. Mr. Jessamine?
What if the town clerk wants her area by appointment only?
That's a good question that I don't know the answer to, but I'm sure.
ultimately the selectmen are in charge of town hall.
John? Oh, wait, I haven't gotten to Pat yet, so.
I kind of feel the same way with Joe. I think we put it to March 31st. I think we can extend it a day and meet on the 1st and get Cindy's input on it. If we're opening it, excuse me, all the time we're opening an influx. It's very controlled with appointments only right now, and most of it's done by mail or online. And so it's very controlled and sporadic. But once you open that, the floodgates will open, and you really need to be careful with the front desk. And that's out of all of them, I think that you need to be more careful with that front desk. That's my opinion.
All right. John?
The town clerk has the ability to make her own hours and regulations how she wants to do it. So I'm thinking that if the town clerk wants to continue like that, but for other offices, it would be nice with spring coming, people need to get their registrations for trailers or for stickers for the dump with the thing coming up. That we could put, some plexiglass screens in and social distancing. I think, that's.
We have the screens up now.
They have window, they have, what's that stuff called? Plexiglass. They have plexiglass in front of where each of the openings are in the counter.
The other thing is when people have to come in, whether they make an appointment, and they social distance, or they show up and make a social distance, you still have the same people with the same needs and coming in. It's just a little bit more convenient for people as long as, you could put 3 people, whatever the capacity is to come in there, but the exact same people are still going to be coming in. So it doesn't really serve a purpose to just appointments only. That's my thought.
I'm more concerned with the quantity, and you could, in a given day, have 5 people that want to come in and sit at the table for wedding registrations and only have 2 for car registrations. Now you have 5 people that you have to sit at the table with for wedding registrations that are sitting down doing this. It's not just behind plexiglass, some of their jobs. They do other things as well. That's what I'm concerned about. And without those questions answered, we may very well, Cindy may very well say, yeah, I'd love to open. And then we'll look like fools next week to say, well, why did we wait a week? I don't know. But I don't know that answer. And I'd like to at least give her, I mean, she is a department head, give her the benefit of the doubt.
Scott?
Are we allowed to, say that tentatively we're looking at April 5th? But we've got to consult with one member of the staff who's not here now, but will be there next week. Is that something that we're allowed to, are we allowed to word it that way and phrase it that way?
I think certainly you could, but I think to Pat's point, April 1st is your next select board meeting. She'll be back by then. What I would suggest if you want to wait is to say, tentatively, we're going to open on April 5th, which is a Monday. And if on Thursday we hear something from the town clerk tax collector that's really problematic, then you can on Thursday night decide to extend.
Should we change our verbiage of if the motion doesn't pass? I guess no, I'm just thinking, is it changed to until further notice? Because I think it's published on the town website right now, March 31st. We meet on April 1st. So I think you have to say until further notice. And this way, if we do vote, boom, you can go the 5th.
So what we would do if you decided for April 5th is we would just put on the town website tomorrow or tonight that town hall will be closed until April 5th. But you can also do whatever you want. You can do until further notice as well. It's fine. Well, whatever you decide, we'll put it on the website. We just need to know tonight so we can let that be known publicly, both on the doors and on the website.
Joe?
It occurs to me that we took an official vote to have these rules in place until March 31st. So if we're going to change the date, we should have an official vote, I think.
Yeah. Well, there was a motion and a second, and I second it for discussion. But we can.
Well, I hear until further notice and so on and so forth. And
We can vote on John's.
Or amend it.
We can amend.
Or amend it, right.
Does anybody want to have a just amendment?
Go ahead, Pat.
I'll like to make an amendment to the motion to extend the hours of appointment only for town hall to be closed to appointment only until April 5th. Until such time we can then talk to the town clerk tax collector on April 1st and decide at that time.
Is there a second? Motion.
point of information. Would you repeat the original motion, please?
That we open town hall for business
As
with social distancing
as of what?
precautions as of, was the first Monday in April,
April
I
5th.
stated, which was April 5th.
Isn't it the same thing?
Oh, I thought you said April 1st was.
No,
the-
April
I was
5th.
gonna say,
Yeah,
seems
April
like
5th.
5th was where we were headed.
Why are we making the motion? Why are we making the amendment?
I
I don't know, you.
I lost track of the amendment of the motion, so
He needed an amendment.
yeah.
Well, there you go.
It sounded like we needed one, but it doesn't sound like we need one, so
No, because,
do you want to withdraw your motion?
no, the issue is,
There's no second.
the issue is right now that we made a motion to close town hall until March 31st, correct? Okay, so we have to decide whether we're going to extend through April 5th. We have to do that because otherwise people are going to start coming in on Thursday and Friday, April 1st and April 2nd. We have to do that. I think that's
Seems
the
like
That
problem.
would-
John's
well,
motion would cover that.
Well, his motion was through April 5th. Wouldn't it be April 4th? Because that's Sunday.
Monday
Yeah.
No,
until that Monday.
I think you might maybe getting bogged down a little bit. I think his motion was fine because April 1st, you're going to meet and you're going to decide what you're going to do then.
Yep.
So it's
Okay.
just for the purposes of the public. So everyone knows you can't come back into town hall just yet.
right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. All those in favor of the to keep town hall closed through April 5th, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. And then I only had one other thing to report on for me. Tim, is it possible to get the police department relocated to here on Google Maps? Okay, I only asked because I was at work today and I was trying to figure out how long it was going to take me, and I went to click on the PD and it wasn't there. It was still over there. So
Yeah,
okay.
one of the officers has already contacted Google
Okay,
and it's in the works.
that's all I had. John?
Okay. So got a couple things coming up. Of course, Earth Day is April 22nd. It's not too early to start thinking about that and helping out with, cleaning up some of the woods and other things of such, one of the things is in the past, the state has supplied the town with the blue trash bags that if people wanted to go and help by picking up trash along roadways or out of brooks or streams or wherever, they could pick it up and leave those bags at the curbside or on the side of the road, and any state truck would pick up a blue trash bag. So I don't know if we can check into that or if we still have those blue bags around.
We have cases of blue bags.
Purple bags or blue bags?
Purple bags,
I'm
the
talking about,
Barney bags.
okay, I'm talking about the blue bags, which
Yeah.
are issued by the state that are covered for, they pick it up and send Kevin or anything. Couple other things. I did notice the daffodils and tulips are coming up. So be a little careful. I know Kevin said they've been careful in cleaning up along the wall. So we're real excited for that to happen. We did purchase, or the town allowed me to purchase the stuff for the cleaning and waxing of Squantum. And I'm going to be trying to get a couple people together to just sort of watch and also learn on how to do the maintenance of the statues, so that, some of the public will be involved in the community, and maybe some touch up on a couple of the other statues, a little quick cleaning. But that will be more towards when it warms up, or maybe we get a warm spell through April. And And that would be about it for me. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Pat?
I got I got a couple of things. One is I wasn't, I don't know this because I've looked in the minutes. I don't know that we ever took a vote of meeting at the PD on a permanent basis. I don't know who made that decision, whether it was the staff or the selectmen. My concern is that we have a policy in place. The selectmen have a policy of 2 people being in the building at all times for safety for our employees. And that changes the dynamics on Thursday evenings for an employee that works until 5:30. So, you know, we often are after the police to abide by the ordinances and enforce our ordinances, but yet we're not enforcing our own policies. So we need to do something. I don't care where we meet, it doesn't matter to me, but we do have an employee there that's alone in the building until 5:30. I think,
Jeannie?
So unless something has changed, the town clerk tax collector has changed her hours and they are now closing at 4:30 unless something happened the week that I was out, but that's my understanding is she's changed her hours.
is that on a permanent or a temporary basis?
I assumed it was permanent.
Can we find that out? Okay. If it's on a permanent basis and we don't have any worries.
All
Um, I want to thank Tim for setting up the IMV 4500 program, software program. And what that does is it's a surveillance program through our cameras up at the senior center. So now when we have a problem with somebody not keying in the right code, I'm the first one that rapid response calls. And I'm not up there. So they say, should we send the police? And without this, they send the police, which is at a cost. It's a resource. So now I can just look and say, oh no, that's Emily up there doing packages for Every Child is Ours, or somebody that we know is supposed to be up there. They just keyed it in wrong. And then I say, no, we don't send anybody. So thank you, Tim. It's saving us a lot of money to have that. The other thing is we have we had a complaint this week for a company digging a ditch into a brook and doing drainage into the brook. It was brought to the attention of the land use coordinator. There's also a written complaint to DES about it. They were actually draining into the brook. I sent you pictures of that as well. There's an additional problem there because there's a shed, a salt shed, and then they're moving the salt shed, and that there's mitigating circumstances how to mitigate the salt issue because it's right next to the brook. So Leanne is on top of that and watching very closely how that gets settled.
Jeannie had a comment on that.
If you don't mind, I just want to give you an update because I have been following that with Leanne. The salt is completely removed. There's no more salt on the property. And the owner understands that he can no longer store salt on the property.
On the property, okay. The other thing, we have an application for a committee member in here. And although in the past, we've really jumped on top of people because they've been very far and few between. And I, for one, have jumped on somebody that's actually wanted to join in on a committee and be a part of a committee. But my understanding is that there's a couple more people that would like to be a part of this particular committee. So how do we rectify this issue? Do we just grab the first one, first come, first serve person that wants to be on a committee? Or do we post it somewhere and say, I know we announced it at town meeting and we said, these are the openings that we have. We announced it at the election. We said, this is the openings that we have. And then they have time to say, geez, I'd like to step in. And we talked to them at town meeting. We all had an opportunity to do some type of socializing during the meetings and town meeting and everything. But then how do we take the applications? We have one application. I'm under the assumption that there's 2 more coming in. But do we sign this one tonight? That means there's no more openings for this committee. So I just want to give everybody a fair shot on it, that's all. I don't know any of these people. I have no agenda whatsoever. I'm just trying to figure out how do we do it going forward.
John?
In the past, we have had people come in and like it's just an interview and they tell us why. And that we have done that with committees before when we've had multiple people.
Jeannie?
So I put there should be 2 applications in your packet. I put those in your packet, and under other business, I had planned to bring that up and ask you, to John's point, you have in the past, since I've been here, wanted to look at the application, decide if you wanted to meet with the applicant or not. So tonight was not something that I was expecting you to sign, approve on either one of those, but to bring it to your attention and ask you if you wanted to meet either one of these applicants. I'm not aware of the 2 others that you're talking about, Pat. So I couldn't speak to that.
Who are the 2? I know that there's one in there for me, but that was an appointed position that was last week appointed.
Mm-hmm.
So is there another one other than this?
There are 2.
They won't.
These are 2.
We all have those same ones.
Okay, I'm sorry. I only saw the one. I'm sorry. Okay.
So
So there's 2 for the same one.
Right.
Okay.
So the only point for tonight was to put it in front of you and ask you the question, do you want to meet with these applicants?
Well, one of them is a reappointment. One of them is somebody I don't believe has been.
Both of them are neither.
New.
They're both new.
Got one that says reappointment.
Where?
The first question, it says it's just a reappointment, and it says no.
Yeah, I see that part. Where in the heck did I get?
But keep in mind, Pat, that some of these boards require alternate members. So while, for example, the ZBA is a 5-person board, it also has alternates. And as long as I can remember, we've never had enough people even interested to have alternates. Same thing with planning board. It's a 7-member board. And so again, we hardly have enough for a quorum. Actually, this past meeting, I watched this past Tuesday's meeting, and it started a few minutes late because they had to wait for a quorum to arrive. And even at that, they only had 4 members out of 7. And I think there's a couple vacancies on that board. So maybe we can have these 2 applicants come in next Thursday and we can talk to them, if that's a consensus of the board.
I'm a yes.
Okay.
So going forward, that we would take the applicants and interview them and figure out which one we would take?
Well, I don't think it's a matter of figuring out which one we take. Well, I guess it is.
Well, it is
It
because we
is.
have 2.
It is.
But
For the
I
same
think
committee.
I think we have alternates available. So if you have 5, one can be an alternate.
But you still need to choose, the selectmen need to choose which one is the full-time, which
Sure.
one is the alternate.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
That
You
is-
still have
that's
to
true.
choose that.
Right, or maybe one might want to serve on a different board too. You never know.
Well, there's
No.
one of them that's zoning or parks.
Yep.
Might be willing to serve in another capacity if that presented itself.
Right.
Who knows? But we can ask them when they come in.
I can't hear you, Jeannie, I'm sorry.
The Jim Cropsey's on the line, and he's texted years past, once an application is received by selectmen, the committee also gets a chance to have people attend and interview applicant in the event they have not attended that committee.
Sounds like a great idea. Sure,
That would have said.
absolutely.
If the committee interviewed as well.
So it sounded like we had a consensus. Jeannie, can we invite these two applicants to come before the board next week and also invite the members of the other boards as well? Of those committees to either come on this way, attend the meeting.
All right, we got an email, we got an email from Lucinda Hope, the article passed at town meeting for the gerrymandering. And she gave us a sample of the, a letter that she would like to be sent out to our state legislators. So if it's acceptable to the board, to ask Jeannie to send out a letter to our representatives to see if they would follow through on our warrant article. I guess that's what other town meetings that have passed this type of resolution are doing. They're following up with their representatives and sending a letter to them and asking them to follow through on the passing of the warrant article. Did everybody get the letter? Did everybody, would you like me to read it, or did everybody read it?
I read it.
I read it.
Did that pass? I thought that one failed.
Yeah, I thought it failed too, but
Yeah.
It passed.
No, it passed.
Oh, okay.
It passed.
I
So
was at the same meeting. I thought it failed, but that's okay.
do you want to do it by consensus, or would you like a motion to?
I haven't seen the letter. I'm curious if I could take a look at it.
I would think, seeing as we're following the vote of town meeting, that we wouldn't need to make a motion to the same effect.
I was thinking the same
We're
thing.
required by the warrant article to respond. So
And there's one other thing. Go ahead.
Just because I don't know that I heard consensus. I mean, and it already,
Read it.
yeah, I read it. We've already sent ours in Meredith. That's fine. I just wanted to hear it from the board that that's what you want me to do.
Do we need to make it as a motion or just a consensus?
I think consensus is fine
Okay.
because the warrant article passed and the warrant article directed you to do this at the end of the warrant article.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Pat, Joe,
I mean, yes.
everyone.
Yes.
All right. There's your consensus. Everyone said yes. Thank you. Is that it?
So,
Nope.
no. So I want to talk a little bit about the sign permits. So I'm not getting complaints. I'm not getting, we've had a lot of complaints in the past about signs and code enforcement not following up on illegal signs. And so we still have signs out there that are not up to our codes. that have never been followed up on. And there's no really check or balance once we sign off on it. There's no check and balance. I mean, he go out, when you have a site plan, when someone comes in for a site plan, the planning board reviews it, and then the land use and code enforcement, they'll go out and make sure that it's to that site plan, but that's on new projects. But if you don't have a new project, then let's say somebody goes out and changes from an insurance company to another building, and they put up and change the sign, who follows up on that? And are we going to continue to follow up? It seems like there's a communication. They don't go to the planning board on that, so there's no follow-up on the planning board. I'm trying to figure out where that gap is. So is it in the land use? Do they go to the land use, or do they go to the code enforcement officer? Is it going to be our responsibility of a new code enforcement officer to go out and say, you know, we have a sign, well, particularly the blatant one is right on the line, on the town line, Franklin town line, is it an insurance company? Real estate. Big blatant bling, 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 changing all the time, changing. It's been there for years. And yeah, it's been there for like 4 or 5 years.
They're charging people now.
And they sell the advertising from it, which is not kosher in the town of Tilton. And it's been brought up before. So, you know, who gets to read the sign ordinance when it's not a new planning board type of thing, a site plan, where there are checks and balances on that? And then, you know, does the code enforcement go out and measure the sign after and check the lighting and check to see if it's still written within the parameters, and still the sign is within the parameters and the lighting is with the parameters and of what it was approved originally from the original? Is anybody following up on that? And where is the follow-up? These are the questions that I have, because they're in the last 3 or 4 months, I don't have those answers, whether it's Tanger calling me, or whether it's down street, or whether it's somebody that's calling about the sign that's down on the town line. And I don't have those answers, and I'd like to know those answers. So I don't think there's anything written as to the flow of what happens.
Okay. Joe?
We've always had a reactive code enforcement officer. I'm not going to say that's good, bad, or anything else. It's just the way it has been. If somebody issues a complaint to the code enforcement person, they go out, they check it. This is the way the last one did it. And then they would address the situation at that time. We've never really had a proactive where the guy goes out and looks for violations or follows up when a business changes hands, because it doesn't go through his department. That's the way it's been in the past. But that requires hours and mileage, and there's a whole lot of things that go with that, of course, but that's why it hasn't been done.
I think it's something that we need to, I think it's something to look into and look to see that we are doing it. I don't even think it was done back in Dari's time. I don't think, I'm not pointing fingers at this at all. Please don't ever interpret that as that. But I think going forward, if we had a better check and balance system in place, whether they are required to go to the planning board or the code enforcement is required to follow up after the person is filled out a sign permit, or something to that effect. I don't know how that comes together because I'm not adept at that.
Well, I think Joe hit the nail on the head. First of all, we have a part-time code enforcement officer, 12 hours. I'll give you an example, and I think he's right, exactly what happens. It's reactive. Somebody sees a sign somewhere. We just got a call, land use got a call the other day about a sign across from Town Hall that's up illegally. So the land use coordinator told me she's looking into it. That sign's going to have to come down. It's not supposed to be there. Relative to any other signs, again, it's reactive. Take what you just talked about earlier a few minutes ago, Pat, the business that had salt and that was doing the drain. It was reactive because we don't have the staff. We don't know what businesses are doing. And one of the things that Lee and I talked about the other day about how to be proactive about this was, and we haven't fully fleshed it out to bring it to the board, but I'll just tell you what we were talking about is having almost a FAQ that's on our website for businesses. And even further than that, sending out a letter to the businesses, all the businesses. I don't know what that looks like in terms of cost, but it is a way to be proactive to say to businesses, if you're making changes, you can't just make them. You have to get approval for it. We've got a business down the road that's done something that they weren't supposed to do, but we don't know about it unless that's all we do is send somebody out on the road every single day looking for violations. And I don't think we have the capacity, the bandwidth to do that.
Right.
If that's what you want to do, then we get a full-time code enforcement officer.
Right.
So we are reactive. But again, to address that, that's what Leanne and I kind of thought is maybe we come up with an FAQ on the website, send out notices to the businesses about what they can and can't do. And because what you were just talking about, Pat, the business with the drain pipe said, I didn't know. Maybe he didn't know, I don't know, but that's what he said. So.
Well, maybe we're looking at this in, I'm just my own thoughts, and I'm just brainstorming this, but, we've looked at almost every department and we said, well, where can we do better? And, in land use, are we doing the best that we can? Or do we need to look at it in a different angle and reassess it and say, it's absolutely impossible to be proactive on everything. It would outcost us on everything. However, there's certain things entwined, and particularly in my last 12 years, and signs have been one of them, and violations of, that come to us with businesses. There has to be a certain common denominator in the land use office, and I don't particularly spend a lot of time there, but I'm sure Leanne could pinpoint quite a bit of the common denominators and say, well, do we need to spend more time on this, and what's needed to spend more time on this? And maybe take a look at the department itself and say what is needed. Maybe that's what we need to do. And like you said, like a FAQ on the website. Maybe we need to take a look and see what it is that we need to be not reactive all the time, but maybe that there's a happy balance in between reactive all the time and maybe this much proactive.
Well, I said that was kind of what we came to short of hiring a full-time code enforcement officer, is the FAQ and notices out to businesses. Maybe it's the planning board and the zoning board. I don't know, planning board, zoning board, having a session that's open to businesses and promoting it to have businesses come and learn what planning and zoning does and the things that they have to know if they're opening a business or making changes to a business. I know I worked with a few communities over in the Bristol area, and we did that, invited businesses in so that they could understand that. So yes, I think that's where you could be more proactive, that in between without having to, hire a full-time code enforcement officer, but that'll take time too.
Well, I think that you're onto something there, and I really do, because, I mean, you're so pro-business, and even the ideas and parking downtown and getting the businesses together. You have the residents on one side looking at it from just a very analog way of looking at it, just a 1D looking at it. This is the way it is. They're not doing this, they're not doing that, they're not doing that. And then we look at it from a very 3D view and saying, okay, but they are doing all of these things. We just really don't have the input from all of these places that they're incorrect. But anyway, we could go on forever and ever, but maybe we can talk about it another time. But I think you're onto something, Jeannie. Just getting in touch with the businesses alone on themselves would probably help this matter, because this is a huge complaint area going forward, huge.
I think one of the things is, if I may speak.
Yep.
We interviewed our code enforcement officer, and he clearly stated he would not be enforcing zoning regulations and signs or zoning. So we don't even have part-time, that wasn't his intention.
Right, and if you recall the conversation you had with the land use coordinator, the prior code enforcement officer didn't do it either. She was the one who was familiar with zoning ordinances, and she was the one who was effectively writing the letters for him to send out. And so this new code enforcement officer is essentially the same. And from what I understand, and I think she might have said it to the board, code enforcement officers typically are not familiar with the zoning ordinances in a town, which is why she asked to be the zoning administrator.
Okay. All right.
All right, the last thing that I have is the executive committee is meeting this week. We have a couple of issues that are coming up. And Joe, thank you. He went up and cleaned our grease trap today, which was a nasty, nasty job. So at town meeting, do you remember when we were fighting for the one thing that we were fighting for was the $3,000 revolving fund, and Ken Norton got up and made an amendment to the motion to include a blueberry pie. I do have a blueberry pie. My debt is paid, and the selectmen here tonight need to figure out who it goes to. So here is the pie.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna get this in the face, am I?
Nope. Here
All
is everybody.
I saw the pie.
So
Looking good. Where'd that pie come from? I might ask.
local business,
A local pie? Nice,
a local pie.
nice.
All right.
Looks good.
John's had them before, so he can attest that they're good. So the board's gonna have to have the tough decision on who it goes to, because I paid my debt to the town meeting. So that's it, other than the non-public that we have,
All right.
and you deciding on who the pie goes to. I think it should go to Joe for cleaning out a nasty grease trap.
You know what? That's town pie. Should go to the town hall. And then when people
think
come
it-
in, they can have a piece of town pie. I'll
I-
go in.
I'd like to, well, I guess consensus that since Joe was not hired to do that and totally volunteered for a difficult job, that Joe receives the Blueberry Pie Award.
You know what, John? I'll take that pie. Because
All
that's
right.
the kind of guy, one has nothing to do with the other, but I really like blueberry pie.
There you go.
All right. Is that a consensus?
Is that a consensus?
Consensus.
All right. enjoy.
I would even add into that, half that pie should go to
Oh,
you, John.
But
We'll have a
this,
As
bite.
the guy that crawled around under that kitchen.
oh, he already got paid for
I already
that.
got
Oh,
my
did
bite.
he?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
All
But
right.
this must go into the minutes, please, Gail, so that they don't decide to collect
oh
mid-year.
my goodness, this
Again.
is a nice looking pie.
All right. Anything else, Pat?
No, I'm all done,
All
thanks.
right, Scott Ruggles.
So I was at the school district meeting last weekend, and just kudos go out to both the school board and the budget committee for having to manage a pretty challenging situation this past year and having to make some adjustments on the fly. Second piece was Kevin and his crew at the DPW were very welcoming. I went down and met with them at the beginning of their lunch hour on Monday. Didn't take up too much time because I know how precious lunch hour is, but they were very welcoming. It was nice to be able to talk to them and introduce myself to them as well. Question, and I have no idea who we would need to look to for this. This part of this comes from being a motorcyclist, but the other part is just in terms of the dust and dirt in front of Planet Honda's site at this point in time. There's a lot of buildup in a number of spots, and I'm not sure who would be culpable for trying to keep that clean a little bit. I do worry about fellow motorcyclists hitting that stuff and possible issues there. And I know we're in mud season. I know a lot of it's going to get tracked in and out, but it's just, if you drive by, there's a lot of collection in the middle, on the sides.
The state
It's,
sweeps the road,
So, yeah. Absolutely, please,
They're
Kevin.
speaking
Yes.
the,
You got to speak in the microphone.
right there.
The state is in charge of sweeping that stretch of road, and I put a call into the highway guy for that area, and I'm just waiting for a response on when they're going to be sweeping. I did mention the urgency of getting that done. So like I said, we're just waiting to hear back from them.
Great, thank you. And the last piece, because I believe it was just announced today, not that we need more summer traffic, but I think there'll be more summer traffic coming because Franklin is opening their Whitewater Park. So just for residents and everyone else, but I also see that there's also opportunity for businesses as well to sort of attract people in who will be hungry after they finish whitewater rafting. But there will be a bump, I'm sure, in traffic as well coming through town with kayaks on cars, et cetera. So just something to watch for, both a positive and a challenge. Thanks.
Thank you. And Joe Jessman.
Okay. There's one word that's haunted me ever since I first started as a selectman. Perambulation. It's the only thing that a selectman can go to jail for. Catherine told me that. Is for not making sure that the town is perambulated every 5 years. Well, this is my 10th year now. And I perambulated it once with Karen Ober, who was a selectman from Samerton, but never filed it because I couldn't complete it because, well, on Pest House Road, on the west side of it, the west end, somebody plowed the road. Somebody like reconstructed that section of the road. I have pictures of Billy Lawrence and standing beside the marker, and there were bushes and there were all these things. Now there's just big piles of rock. Obviously different. The marker is nowhere in sight. I looked amongst all the rocks and whatnot that are out there. I got in touch with Elizabeth Dragon. Actually, I don't think her name was Dragon. Her nickname was Dragon,
Yeah.
but Elizabeth. And she put me on to a guy in her office, and we never once, because it's a Franklin Tilton post. You have to have a representative from Franklin and a representative from Tilton when you place the post. And so it's undone. But we need to perambulate. And I would suggest either April 10th, 17th, or 24th, which are all Saturdays, takes the better part of a day because you have to go around and find all these posts, walk the boundaries and find all of these posts and make sure that they're still there. And, you know, in the past, they would spray paint on them the year, or they actually had rock chisels. Lots of them are chiseled right into. John,
I'm
it's,
good.
and I was wondering if anybody else would like to go for a hike. I
When,
think we need to do this prior to summer because there's a lot of wet areas that cause mosquitoes, and you don't want to be walking through the swamp when it's full of mosquitoes. So
For the dates again,
the 10th, 17th, or 24th, they're all Saturdays.
I have to work on Saturdays, so.
Okay, Tim?
I'm just curious, do you carry a GPS device where you can track the longitude
I'm
and
trying to
latitude
think.
of
I
the
have
markers?
a camera. I have an actual camera, like a Nikon camera, that you take a picture of the marker and it's supposed to post the GPS information right on there. If there's something better than that, or some way we could do it through the phones or whatever, and then plot it on a map, that would be great. But prior to going, we'll get with you and see what the technology is to do exactly that. So you guys got a special time? You want to go, Scott?
It would depend on time of day because I will have a baseball game.
All
to
day
coach.
thing.
So
So
I can
no, it's an
join
all
for a
day
while. I
thing.
can join for a while.
Eric
and depart,
works.
or
John and I are both available on Saturdays. How about the 10th, John? You and me,
that's
buddy.
fine. As soon as the sun comes up,
Yeah,
I wake up
kinda.
the roosters, so,
As do I. I'm up at 4, whether I
Sounds
like
great.
it or not.
and then anybody can call us while we're on it. If they want.
Oh, if
4
it's that,
o'clock?
Oh,
Hey,
Pat's like, oh, if it's that early, I could probably do some of it. And the later you go, the brighter it is that time of day.
true enough. Well, let's plan on the 10th, John, and we'll work out the exact details because you need a car at either end, buddy.
or
You start at one spot and then you walk the boundaries and you end up down on the Franklin end, and now you're in Franklin. So if you don't have a car there as well, you can't come back to the first car.
perhaps we
Learn
can-
that the
maybe
hard way,
We
John.
can call an Uber or something too.
Good luck.
That's all right. We'll put a car on either end.
If we don't make it.
Okay, so perambulation on the 10th, crack of dawn. Planning board info. I'm the alternate on the planning board. And I received no information from land use because I guess I'm just not on their mailing list or whatever for planning board information, cases, and backup information documents. Yes, I did
Last week.
last week.
That's
All right.
Thursday.
I'm the alternate and John is the planning board
Kahuna.
member, but I'd love to get that information so that, because I want to be there and be familiar with cases in case John is called away or has jobs he can't get there. Or I don't know what might happen, but that's the alternate life. And finally, Bitter Lane, we discussed last week, Bitter Lane, and I have some of the information. I talked with Kevin today. And we haven't set an exact time to go over there, but we're going to, I want to talk with the town administrator, make sure I've got all the information I need in hand. I have deeds and things like that, but I'll talk to you in your office about that. But I'll be doing that relatively soon. And that's it for me.
I get, what was it for? Just to,
Oh, you didn't watch the meeting last week?
no, I didn't. Well, you'll see
was-
from the
it was-
minutes that there was some, Gail couldn't understand some of what you said, so I don't
Well,
know.
I guess my mic went down at one point, but In any case, Bitter Lane at town meeting. Lordy, there was questions about Bitter Lane and what do we own and what part of the road is ours and our right of ways and where the easement runs and all these various questions didn't have the answer to, and nobody really had the answer to per se.
They were in the documents, the deeds and the surveys
But
that I
we haven't
sent.
gone out there and see how far that is in real life. I want to know. So that's all there is to that. And Kevin and I are going to go out with his measuring wheel and measure, and we'll know exactly how far our responsibility goes. And the right of way on either side of the road and around exactly where it would be around the fire hydrant out there. So that's where that project is in time, and that's it.
All right. Moving on to other business. The Jeannie has an update on the Tilton Island Bridge.
So Tilton Island Bridge. Big picture, you know that the legislation passed, the governor signed it into law, moved the boundary lines. Both town meetings passed it by 2/3 vote, so officially Tilton owns the island. I've got a call into John Tague, who's going to get the quitclaim deed together so that that can be signed off on. The Tilton Island Bridge, Scott, for your edification, if you didn't know, I had written a grant to, the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance, or LCHIP, I'm sorry, LCHIP. Anyway, we got, it was a $34,000 project. We got half of that from LCHIP. And I have the agreement from Patrick Harshbarger, who is the gentleman along with a team of 2 or 3 others who are going to be doing the assessment on the bridge. So I have the document. I will be managing that project since I wrote the grant. My question to you is, do you want to sign off on the agreement, or are you comfortable with me signing off on it?
Jeannie,
Okay.
Yeah.
that's it.
All right. Second item, the emergency COVID employee travel policy. I sent that out to you before. The governor had made eased some restrictions. I made a change to the travel policy. I have gotten questions from employees about that, and I did make a change by removing the word 48 hours so that they didn't have to wait the 48 hours, but they would still have to pass, all those items, requirements about not exhibiting any signs of respiratory infection, et cetera, et cetera. So my question to you, are you good with signing off on that tonight?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think that document must be there somewhere for you to sign.
Yep. Is
In
that
your-
this,
Should be there somewhere.
is that this one here?
Emergency travel policy? Yep. Okay, good.
Do we have to make a motion and a vote on it, or?
I think if you just sign it, that says it all. The next item is Old Home Day. We received an email from Deb Shepherd about Old Home Day. The Old Home Day Committee met to discuss this year's Old Home Day. The committee feels it's still too early to have the entire event, road race, parade, booths, food, etc. But we would like to put on our fireworks show on Old Home Day, which is June 26th at dusk. My question is there an approval process we need from the town relative to having this event due to the pandemic, or can we proceed with our plans for fireworks only fireworks only this year with a bigger and better than normal Old Home Day in 2022. Also, do you feel the town of Tilton Selectmen would have an issue with us requesting our budget of $3,000 in light of the limited Old Home Day event? The fireworks are at a cost of over $6,000, and we will be asking Northfield to contribute their $3,000 as well for this. We did not use the funds allocated to Old Home Day last year from either town. Please let me know if we need to do anything to get approval for putting on a fireworks show on June 26th at dusk at Riverside Park. Does she mean Riverfront Park?
Yeah.
Okay, under the Old Home Day event, and if we need to do anything else to request payment of their approved funds of $3,000 for Old Home Day. So she's asking, one, can they do the fireworks? And two, will you approve the $3,000? Wasn't that in the budget?
Yeah.
Yep.
Did they receive the money last year? So they,
This year.
They didn't request the
No.
money last year
Yeah.
because they didn't have Old Home Day.
That's correct.
so that went into the
General
general
fund.
fund. Okay.
This year, they wanted to have a bigger and better fireworks display. And they would take some of the money they had on hand, plus the money from Tilton and the money from Northfield, and put it into fireworks so that end of June, I forget the 26th, did you say? End of June, that we would have a big fireworks display. And I'm not sure what the name of the park is, Battery Park or something. They have it there.
Surratt Park.
Surratt Battery Park. And then we have the viewing over in Tilton in Riverfront Park. I would make a motion to have the Old Home Day. Now, maybe it's better not coming from me because I'm on that committee. Okay, then I'll make a motion to authorize the Old Home Day Committee to have the fireworks on June 26th, and furthermore to release the requested amount to the Old Home Day Committee of $3,000.
Just a question, does that, since it's happening at Riverfront Park, does Parks
The
need
Red
to?
Battery Park is where they fire it, and then Riverfront Park is where we watch them from.
They're fired off in Northfield actually, and then they are watched from Tilton.
Right, but I guess my question is we're approving the firework, but we're not approving them to use for people to be at Riverfront Park, right? Does that come from the Parks Commission?
I think they would have to go before the Parks Commission, or the Parks Commission would have to approve it.
It's not an event there. People are just, is the park closed?
I don't know. I just, since she talked about Riverfront Park, I didn't, you're just approving the fireworks and the expenditure of the $3,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's, no, what?
As far as parameters in the park, in the past, the Parks Commission has set rules with regard to vendors, with regard to collection. There has been some Parks Commission input into this, and there should be going forward, I would think.
Right, so I would just say to her that they just need to touch base with Parks Commission.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had a motion from Joe, but I don't know if there was a
Is there a
second.
second?
Okay.
Pat, second.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. I'm not opposed. I just meant like say nay if you're opposed.
Okay.
All right.
The next item I had was just to give you an update on the attorney prosecutor recruitment process. We have interviewed, we had 4 candidates that were selected by Jesse Renaud Smith and Lauren Nother as the qualified candidates. 1 dropped out. We've interviewed all 3. Today was the last interview, which I was there for the last interview for most of the portion, but it ran over. So I need to circle back with Jesse and Lauren. And Lisa was actually part of that as well. So the 3 candidates I thought were all good. They were all different. So I'm going to circle back with them and see what we want to recommend to the board. And the process would be that we're going to decide who the second interviews are going to be, and we're going to do that next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so that we will have a final recommendation to you on Thursday, and you will have the opportunity to meet that candidate that we're recommending, ask your questions. And then if you make your decision on Thursday night, we would then make the offer on Friday. That person would give 2 weeks. We could have somebody in as soon as maybe, let's say, the 3rd week in April. So that's the process, and that's where we're at.
Thank you.
Um,
Zoning board applications, I believe we
Yeah, you covered that.
covered that already.
Yep. The last one that I have is a discussion on the police chief recruitment. I mentioned to you that the essays have come back. I think I might have mentioned that to you. They sent out essay questions to 8 candidates. I spoke with MRI a couple of days ago. All the essays they were due back March 22nd. I think they got 6 of the 8 essays back. They will be doing background checks and then interviews on those candidates, and then bringing forward what they recommend as finalists. So my question to this board is, I want to be ready when they make those recommendations to us. How do we want to handle it on our end? I know there was a discussion about having community engagement, having some of the folks, the PD, people from the community being involved in the interview process for those final candidates. So we don't have to make a decision tonight. I'd like you to think about it. Who should be part of that interview panel? How do you want it to happen? So. And then
All right.
Tim would like to go over the MS 232 with you, and I think he sent you an email on that already.
Yeah, just, pardon me, very briefly, the MS 232 is the Department of Revenue Administration's appropriations voted at town meeting. And essentially, it's if you take our budget, our $5,901,000 budget warrant article that was approved, this is in the state's format. So if you were to look at any of our expense reports that will be coming soon, once all this is loaded into the system, but when you look at the expense budgets, you'll see that the first 2 digits of our account number happens to be the fund that it relates to. So everything that you see for the general fund is Fund 01. And then there's a department code and then a function code. The state orders most of the expenditures by function code. And so that's how we are required to report to the state each year, and the appropriations are taken from the way we manage the budget, if you will, in terms of the departmental lines, and then it's mapped to this MS 232. So in any event, what the total works out to be is 6,348,466. So that's our 5,901,000. And then adding to that all of the warrant articles that passed, as well as the half-year CBA and the adjustment to the sale of the proceeds of the town building. And at tax rate setting time, those two warrant articles that were approved to be paid from unassigned fund balance were the selectmen not to use any fund balance at tax rate setting time. Those two items would show as fund balance used. So it would essentially being paid for by the unassigned fund balance. So it has that effect. We're required to gross budget. So we have to put all the expenses in, anything that would be paid, and all the revenues. So that's when it'll actually be netted out, those two warrant articles. As you may recall, the first bill of the year is simply the same tax rate as the prior December bill. So not until December do we actually see the effect of these. So in any event, the form is in your Sign Now account for your signatures. And I need to get that to the state prior to the end of the month is the deadline. If there are no questions, that's all I had. Just other than that, there are two other manifests in the Sign Now for you as well.
Anything else?
Good, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Jeannie. The time being 7:41 PM, I'd like to make a motion to move into non-public for RSA 91-A:3, Roman 2, in parentheses A, the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee or the disciplining of such employees or the investigation of any charges against him or her unless the employee affected, one, has a right to a public meeting, and two, requests that the meeting being open in which the request shall be granted. We expect to be back in the public session at approximately 8:30 PM. Well, I have a second. Okay. Trying. Talk fast. There was a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Constantino, yes.
Justman? Pyra, yes.
Ruggles, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
All right. And we will go into non-public.
This conference will now be recorded.